Your appendix does nothing, except surgeons cut it out 300,000 times a year based on that belief. And they were wrong. 3 of your useless body parts are secretly still working, and 1 was never meant to do anything at all. And the wildest part is that scientists spent decades calling these parts useless before discovering they were dead wrong about almost all of them. Let's start with the one you have felt 1,000 times without ever thinking about it. Goosebumps. Cold air hits your arm. The tiny hairs stand straight up and your skin goes bumpy. It feels completely pointless. You are not a cat trying to look bigger. You don't have enough body hair for it to trap any warmth. So why does your body still bother doing this every single time you step into cold air or hear a song that moves you? For a long time, the answer was simple. Leftover wiring from when our ancestors had thick fur millions of years ago. The tiny muscles attached to each hair follicle would puff up the fur to trap warm air underneath or make the animal look larger to scare off a predator. Humans lost the thick fur somewhere around 3 to 4 million years ago when we moved onto open grasslands and needed to cool down through sweating instead. But the muscles stayed behind. Case closed. Move on. Nothing to see here. Then in 2020, a team at Harvard found something nobody expected. And what they discovered completely rewrites the story your biology textbook told you. Think of those muscles like a telephone wire strung between 2 houses. The nerve lives in one house. The stem cell that grows new hair lives in the other. Every time the muscle fires, it rings the phone, sending a signal that tells the stem cell to wake up and get to work. Cut the wire and the stem cell just sits there, never getting the call. So the muscle is actually part of your body's hair maintenance system, right now today. Every time it fires, it is not just raising a tiny hair that nobody notices. It is keeping the communication line open between your nerves and your hair follicle stem cells. The reflex looks completely useless on the surface. But underneath your skin, it is doing repair work you would never see or feel happening. Now, if something you feel every single day turns out to have a secret purpose, nobody caught for a century, what about the organ that gets tossed in the trash more than any other? I make a new video about hidden things your body still does every single week. Subscribe so you catch the next one. Your appendix, that tiny worm-shaped tube dangling off the beginning of your large intestine. Most people only ever think about it when it gets infected, and a surgeon has to cut it out. Doctors spent a century calling it useless. But researchers discovered that the appendix has evolved independently more than 30 separate times across completely unrelated mammal species. 30 times, in different animals on different continents with different diets. Nothing useless evolves 30 times. That is like finding the exact same mistake in 30 different car brands built by 30 different companies on 30 different assembly lines. At some point, you have to stop calling it a mistake and start asking what it actually does. And it does plenty. Your appendix is lined with immune tissue and packed with colonies of beneficial gut bacteria. It works like a biological safe house. When you get food poisoning or a nasty stomach illness, and everything gets violently flushed out, your intestines lose most of their good bacteria along with the bad. The appendix keeps a reserve colony tucked safely away in a little pocket that the flushing never reaches. Once the illness passes and things calm down, those protected bacteria migrate back out into your intestines and reseed the whole system. People who've had their appendix removed live perfectly normal lives. But studies show they tend to pick up certain intestinal infections slightly more often afterward. The backup system is gone. They manage just fine without it, but they lost a safety net they never even knew they were carrying around. So some of these supposedly useless parts turn out to have hidden jobs nobody noticed for 100 years. But what about a body part that literally never did anything useful in your entire evolutionary line? A body part that never had a job in the first place. It never had a job in your ancestors, or theirs, or at any point in the evolutionary line. Male nipples. And the reason they exist isn't that evolution forgot to remove them. The real story is stranger and more revealing than that. For the first 6 or 7 weeks after conception, every single human embryo follows the exact same construction blueprint. Male or female, it doesn't matter yet. The body builds the same chest, lays down the same breast tissue, forms the same nipples. All of this construction happens before the body has even checked which sex it is going to become. The blueprint runs the same opening sequence for everyone. Around week 7, if a Y chromosome is present, it switches on a gene that floods the system with new hormones and starts building male-specific features. But by that point, the nipples are already finished. By that point, they're already wired into the skin, fully formed and settled in place. And here is the key. Evolution never removed them because they never caused a single problem. They don't hurt anyone. They cost almost no energy to maintain. And they've never reduced anyone's chances of surviving or having children. So natural selection has absolutely no reason to spend millions of years engineering them away. They just ride along, generation after generation after generation, because nothing about them was ever broken enough to require fixing. And this explains every single one of them. Evolution works like someone who keeps adding new rooms to an old house, but never tears down the outdated ones. Your tailbone is one of those old rooms, left over from ancestors who had tails 25 million years ago. The building code is brutally simple. Does this feature kill you before you have children? If not, it stays in the blueprint forever. That is why you have ear muscles that can barely twitch even though your ancient relatives swiveled their ears towards sounds like a cat does today. It is why wisdom teeth keep trying to grow into a jaw that shrank thousands of years ago when humans started cooking food and didn't need that extra grinding power anymore. None of these things are killing anyone fast enough or consistently enough for natural selection to bother removing them. Every one of them is evidence that there was never a designer cleaning up the workshop, just a slow process that adds, adapts, and almost never deletes. Right now, while you are listening to this, your body is running biological code that is 300 million years old, alongside instructions that are only a few 100,000 years old. Your goosebump muscles are maintaining hair stem cells, while simultaneously performing a reflex that was designed for thick fur you haven't had in 3 million years. Your appendix is quietly guarding bacteria for an emergency that might never come. And your nipples are there because your body built them 6 weeks into existence, before it even knew what you were going to become. You are a working prototype that has been continuously patched for millions of years, but never once received a clean install. You were never a finished product or a final version. You are layer after layer of old code running alongside new code, held together by one rule. If it doesn't kill you, it stays. So next time cold air hits your arm and every hair stands up, pay attention. That tiny reflex is not a glitch from your past. It is your body doing maintenance work right now, keeping stem cells alive, keeping repair lines open, doing its job exactly the way it has for millions of years. Good enough is the only thing that ever mattered in the game of evolution. And somehow, good enough built you.